And here we go. Digital Adele back with another Beyond the Backboard or Hoops Profile Beyond the Backboard podcast for you with my co-host, Matt Hanifan. Today we're going to be talking about the Washington Wizards 2024 NBA draft, where they had 3 draft picks. And I'm really excited about this class, really excited to talk about them. But before I do, I wanted to let everybody know this is the final rookies only of 2024. We're going to be diving into the rest of the Beyond the Backboard stuff with the NBA draft starting after Christmas. And so we're going to just lay out that full schedule. But before I do, I want to introduce my co-host, Matt. How are you doing today, Matt?
Technical difficulties stink out loud. Yes. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am much better now. I was losing my ever-loving mind after that Windows 11 update I had last night. Completely destroyed our audio, but we're back, baby. Just like Jimmy Butler and his 36-point game the other day. Whoops, this isn't where we talk Miami Heat. We're talking the Washington Wizards. Just like Bilal Koulibaly when he came over from France and launched my YouTube channel when I found him before everybody else. But anyway, let's talk Alex Sarr, the 7-foot big man from France, has a nice shooting touch, not translated yet in the NBA, blocking shots, can rebound, play a little defense on the perimeter. What are your quick thoughts on Alex Sarr?
The touch hasn't been great around the rim. Like it's been okay. I mean, you've seen it a little bit in France. You saw it a little bit in the NBA. He's only shooting 26% from deep so far. He's shooting well from the corners. Like his corner 3-point percentage, I believe, is in the low 40s. He's shown some stuff in the mid range. I think the context that he's in, like he hasn't been good around the rim. Like his touch hasn't been there. But I also don't know if they have the players that will unlock his like vertical spacing, will unlock him as a pick and roll man. Like I just don't know if that's necessarily there right now. And so I think his ceiling offensively, at least in his rookie year, is a little bit capped in that aspect. Defensively, I think he is a legit guy, and this was kind of my thoughts pre-draft just by watching a little bit of what he did overseas. Like he's a guy that I think can anchor a defense at some point, like a legit good defense at some point in his career. I think that's bit him a little bit early on because like the rebounding is not there. I think part of that is just the positioning that he's in. Like they're switching and he's switching onto the perimeter. He doesn't have to exclusively play drop. And so like he's got good feet, he's got good hands, he's a good shot blocker, he's a good weak side rim protector, he's good at recovering on the ball. He can deter shots at the rim, but I think sometimes he gets caught out of position. And then when he is switched on the perimeter, when your low man is like a Corey Kispert or a Jordan Poole, like that just doesn't work to your advantage necessarily. And Washington has been beat up on the glass because of that reason. Like he's averaging 6.5 rebounds a game. Like it's not bad, but there are just times where like he gets caught out of position and then it compromises the rest of the defense and the rebounding aspect of it. And I think that's bit Washington to some extent. He is raw just on both ends of the floor, and that's kind of what I expected from him coming out of the NBA or coming out of France. And so it's not surprising to me, but I just don't know if this current context is necessarily suited for him yet. And I think once they part with Jordan Poole at the deadline or whenever they want to do that, once they decide to trade Kyle Kuzma, whose contract is, I think, front loaded. And so that does look better, in the coming years, especially this year relative to last year. Like it's going to be more appealing to teams who are looking for that kind of 3-4 tweener. So I don't know if it's there for him yet. I think his ceiling is a little bit capped. The Wizards are still like not very good at all anyway. But I am interested to see like how he continues to grow. Not all growth is linear, and I think he's just been like a good example of that. He's had bumps and bruises along the way throughout the first 20, 25 games of the season. So I'm very interested to see how he continues to develop as time goes on.
Absolutely. I think he actually has more potential than I think you give him credit for in this regard. I know you're not super down on him. You had him right where he was supposed to go, but I think that jumper is going to come along better than he's showing right now. I think he has a nice touch from the outside. I I just think people don't realize how fast of a pace they're playing at and what that does to your legs. And so whenever you go to shoot from deep, man, you got to have your legs underneath you. And when you're a rookie, even though he was playing in the pros overseas, the NBA is just a whole different level of athlete skill, athleticism, and all that. So I think he's going to get better in that regard. His ability to finish around the rim, I think that's going to get better as well, because I do think he has nice hands. I think he's going to be able to really work on his explosiveness and get in the weight room. And I think he can be a monster once that happens. But we'll see. Like you said, not all growth is linear. There's going to be ups and downs. And again, the amount of shots available to him are just so low with Jordan Poole, Bilal Coulibaly, and Kyle Kuzma. It just isn't in the cards for him to be a super high producing offensive player right now. But that being said, at 26 minutes per game, he is averaging 11 points per game. So there is some how do I want to phrase it? Some silver lining to his offensive season. The defensive stuff I'm really impressed with, the 2 blocks per game. The rebounding stuff he could do a little bit better, but when you get a lot of long shots, you get a lot of long rebounds. So he's not going to be able to just feast on the glass whenever you're chucking up shots from deep all over the court. Now, speaking of shots from deep, I'm going to skip over Bub and leave Bub for last because he's one of our favorite players in the draft from the Washington Wizards. We're going to talk Keyshawn George. Keyshawn George is an unusual case for me because when I watched his college career, I didn't believe that he was ready to be an NBA player. I thought he should have stayed in college. I understand why he went into the draft because he must have got information that he was going to go high in the first round or at least mid first round. And he absolutely did. That being said, I mean, he's a knockdown 3-point shooter. And in college, he didn't do much else. He wasn't a particularly great defender. He wasn't a great facilitator. He wasn't a great rebounder. When you look at his numbers in the NBA, all that stuff is still true. He's not a great rebounder, only 4 per game, 2.6 assists per game. And, he's only averaging like 7.5 points per game. Here's the thing that cooks my noodle. He legit is a very, very good shooter, like excellent shooter. But this also may come back to how fast they play and rookie legs and not being able to keep up with the pace just yet. He's shooting 33% from the field, and he's shooting 24% from deep. What are your thoughts on one Keyshawn George?
Funny enough, I saw a stat this morning on the old Bird app on Twitter.
Ah, the old Bird app.
Yeah, the old Bird app. His effective field goal percentage on wide open shots is like one of the worst in the league. And it's funny enough because he's actually better than Sarr. Like both have been really bad on wide open shots. I want to say it was like, I don't remember the number exactly, but I want to say it was around like 41% with an effect, like 41% effective field goal percentage, which is very bad.
Right.
Again, I don't know how much of that is shooting luck. I don't know how much of that is form. I don't know how much of that is what you just mentioned in terms of like just having tired legs playing 26 minutes a night.
Well, and the pace that they play at.
Right. Right. I don't know what his ceiling would look like if he's not making shots because I don't think it's high. I'm kind of with you. I wasn't super duper high on him as like a prospect.
Right.
This is like a weird side tangent, but he kind of reminded, like, maybe I think the play styles may have been a little bit different, but like based on the size and the skill set, he kind of reminded me of Jet Howard.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And so and I wasn't high on him either.
Right.
Right. And so if he's knocking down 25% of his 3-point shots, again, small sample, sure. 20 games into a season, I at least would hope that progresses to the mean at some point. Maybe he gets some more run and, gets more comfortable later in the season after the deadline once players are moved here and there. But it's not like the ceiling obviously isn't high because I don't think he's a great defender.
Right.
the rebounding for him being what 6'8", 6'9",
6'8",
as skinny as he is, like he's going to need to bulk up. I think if he wants to be at least a league average defender, if that's his ceiling, or if you want him to get to that point at some point down the line. I don't know if he ever will, but like if you want that from him, he's going to need to bulk up,
Right.
because I don't think he has the foot speed, the quickness to defend like twos or threes or whatever the case is. Like, and he's certainly not big enough to guard fours. And so, like, what's your ceiling for him on that end? But
Right.
Yeah, he's gonna start knocking down shots.
He has to. He has to.
Because I think that's like where he's gonna make. To your point, that's where he's gonna make his bread and butter.
I think that's the only reason he was drafted outside of the second round at all.
Right. And I don't think he's like I don't see him as like a secondary playmaker. I mean,
no, he doesn't handle that well. He doesn't handle that well.
2.6 assists to 1 turnover, but like again,
and a lot of those assists, more from the shot. But a lot of those assists are passing to the wing for a deep three. You know what I mean? Not all assists are created equal. It's because they get the ball. I say that on here all the time. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely not all assists are created equal. That was one of the things I was really interested in watching when I watched the college tape of Kasparas Yakachonis. I wanted to see how he was getting his assists, because 6 assists per game in college, 6 rebounds, like that's legit. And so I was pleasantly surprised, but also not shocked that a lot of his assists are a simple come off a drag screen, throw it back to the top, and your center shoots a 3. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of like complex reads going on with that. But he does have good vision. So I kind of, I was pleasantly surprised with that. So thanks for reminding me. The video is out on this channel right now. You can watch it today. Become a channel member, $2.99. You can get access to those breakdowns before anybody else. So yeah, back to Keyshawn George. I had him 34th on my big board. I looked it up. 34th. So he got picked higher than that. I get the vision. They want to play fast. They want to be able to hit threes. But I just don't see at that spot why you would bypass some of the talent that they did to pick Keyshawn. Like, they could have had Pacome. They could have had Dylan Jones. They could have had Ryan Dunn, Mogbo, Kolick.
Yeah. I mean, Kolick would have been a little bit hard after drafting Bunt, no?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's same. No. Yeah, same draft. You're right. Good call.
But I understand your point. I understand it.
Because they can do a lot more for your team. And the thing that you drafted him for, he's not doing very well because he isn't conditioned enough to be able to keep up with that pace and to be able to hit shots the way he needs to. And as you mentioned,
raw, man.
He's super raw. Even his free throw shooting's down.
Right. This is the Washington Wizards, Brian Keefe, like, we're going to develop you over time and let's see how this goes. And 2, 3, 4 years from now, this was never going to be a year one thing, but I am just kind of surprised that the percentages aren't as low as they are.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good. But again, I just wish people could experience the pace of an NBA game. Like how fast and how much running, how quick the decisions are. That's another thing when you get these players and they come in and they run pick and roll in college and they come to the NBA and they're like, why can't they just run pick and roll in the NBA? And then the decisions are happening like that. It's just so much faster. Everything is so much faster. So I'm not surprised by it, but because it's his bread and butter, he needs to fix that, and he needs to fix it in a hurry. Let's talk the guy that everybody came to hear about. Bub Carrington. Mr. Carlton Banks. Yeah, I love Bub, man. He's a Pitt guy. He went to the University of Pittsburgh, played down at the Peterson Event Center. I've been to many of those games, my time in Pittsburgh. So I got to watch him play. Well, I didn't get to watch him play live. I was in Florida, but I got to watch him play from afar a lot. And his defense was excellent. His ability to make tough shots really popped on tape. His ability to finish in the lane was a big question mark. Left a lot to be desired. But his ability to just hit and make and take tough shots really popped. What did you like about Bub Carrington in college?
To me,
and in the NBA.
To me, his competitive demeanor at 18 years old.
Yes.
Was something that I like. He was the guy who was more so like, for a lack of a better phrase, like a late bloomer on my board.
Yeah.
Like he was someone who, I didn't watch a whole lot of him until late in the process, and that was where like, okay, I like this kid a lot. Like the tough shot making, again, it wasn't super efficient. That was like that worked to his benefit, but it also like was a detriment that he wasn't getting to the rim as much as he was. But I also think again, I talked about this with Ace Bailey. Like I think some of that is a comfort thing too, but also his leadership, I think, and like his defensive chops that he had at Pitt was something that I was really intrigued by, because I mean he's a big guard. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's pretty sturdy. To me, he doesn't look like this. He's stronger than he looks, I think.
He's definitely stronger than he looks. I agree with you on that.
And so like that was my biggest concern, was just like, all right, how would the efficiency carry over? It hasn't carried over quite yet. I know he's kind of oscillated between being a starter with Malcolm Brogdon's injuries and not, and that's kind of, fluctuated his role a little bit. But I've been impressed with what I've seen so far, because he's done everything that you've kind of wanted him to, outside of, show eye-popping efficiency. And I think, again, over time, more experience, continue to get stronger, continue to hone in on the fundamentals. I think that's going to work to his benefit over time. But
yeah,
no, he was someone that I liked a lot. And he was someone that I was kind of hoping would fall to Miami. He was one pick away. I don't think Miami would have taken him just because of the context that Miami's in right now. Like I think they not aiming for win now players, but I didn't think he would be a guy that they would look at. I don't know if they worked him out.
Miami really prioritized functional size, so
right. And he's functional. He's functional size for a guard.
A guard, right? For a guard, right?
Yeah.
With the wingspan too, and somehow you managed to say Ace Bailey without saying he was 6'2".
Hey, listen, man. I wasn't the one who measured Bub Carrington and Ace Bailey. Bub was taller.
Bub was taller.
I wasn't the one who did that.
6'10" Ace Bailey. That's right. But so here's my thing with Bub, right? Bub's growth, just like Bilal, once Jordan Poole is out of the way, I think their growth goes way, way up. I think their timeline gets accelerated. I think while Poole is there, it's really going to hold them back, because he's going to take all the shots, especially all the big shots. But Bub's been terrific this year, even though his percentages at the rim haven't been great. His free throw percentage, he's shooting 80% on low volume. And his three-point percentage is only 32%. It really doesn't tell the story of what kind of player he's going to be, how competitive he is. I mean, for his size and being the ball-handling guard, over 4.5 rebounds per game. But he does turn it over quite a bit, like two turnovers per game. But with that being said, overall, I put a poll question in the chat. What do you rate this draft class? A, B, C, or D? I know we can't really tell for 3 to 4 years. 50% said A, 50% said a C. How do you rate the Wizards draft class?
I think I would go like an A-.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good draft class. When you come away with 3 picks and you come away with 2 potential starters and a guy that I think is going to be off the bench pretty much his whole career, I don't think you can ask for much more than that. So I thought it was a really good draft for them. I think their future, not their immediate future, but I think their long-term future is bright. Because I think Bilal is going to be a star, man. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Bilal Koulibaly this year, but he's improved his ball handling. He's improved his ability to shoot on the move. I mean, off the bounce. My nose is bothering me. I just think their future is bright. Let me ask you, did you watch any college basketball last night?
I had it on the TV a little bit. I had Cam Jones on. That's always a fun experience. They were playing, I think, was it Butler?
Yeah, they were playing Butler.
My brain is like a million different pieces. I watched a little bit of Michigan, Oklahoma. I watched a little bit of Memphis versus Virginia.
Yeah.
I wasn't like locked into all those games, but like I would, glance every year.
You dabbled. I like it.
Yeah. Was there any other games that I watched that like stuck out?
Let me ask you a question about Cam Jones. One thing I noticed about his game a lot without Kolek, allegedly they have a point guard coming back off injury, so it's going to help him. But when he ball handles and gets in the lane, he draws too. But a lot of it is he ball handles, gets into the lane, and then starts backing his man down.
Yep.
That's not going to translate at the NBA level. Like, he's not going to be able to do that. So
no, that's fine.
You were breaking up a little bit, and I think that one was on you.
Oh, well, I was saying that was something that he did a lot last night.
Yeah. But so what do you think that's going to translate? That he's going to be able to do that at the NBA level? I just don't think he's going to be able to.
Probably not.
Yeah. So that limits him as a ball handler at the next level. He's going to have to be an off-ball guard primarily.
Do you know who do you know who I thought of when I was watching Cam Jones last night?
Who?
Tyler Hero.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Except for Tyler was younger coming into the league. Cam's an older player,
I'm just
but
talking like
stylistically,
a little.
Yeah.
Because especially, and I'm more so thinking of like Tyler earlier on in his career.
Right.
I mean, outside of the shot diet.
And he's a little better ball handler than Tyler was early.
I think Tyler's rookie year, yes.
Yeah.
He is better. But I think Tyler's gotten better over time.
Yes.
But to me, I don't know, how tall is Cam Jones?
6'5".
Okay, about the same size then.
Yep.
But to me, it was like, I don't know if Cam, to some extent, he has some burst.
Right.
But it's not, I don't think it's going to be, I think he's stronger than Tyler was.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has some burst, but not enough to where I'm going to completely rely on him to take dudes off the dribble, but he's also not a good enough playmaker / ball handler to where I want him doing that as his primary response. He's more so like a second to third side,
right,
secondary ball handler. In that respect, he's not going to be a guy that you're going to rely on to get those primary reps consistently.
Right.
And that's kind of why I thought of the Tyler Hero career arc, because I know his rookie season he was playing a lot of off ball, and then COVID shortened season. They start in December, his second year after the bubble, and he's thrust into this league ball handling role. He struggles, he grows from it.
Right.
But Spo keeps throwing him in the fire as years goes on, just to see where he's at, depending on injuries or whatnot, and especially when he's healthy. And at certain moments he's responded well to it. At certain moments he hasn't. And again, it's just an example of not all growth is linear. But that's kind of where I see Cam Jones in the sense that where it's I don't ever expect him to be a great ball handler. He can do it for sure, but it's not something that I'm going to rely upon. I'm going to rely upon him to be more of a spot up, potentially take a dude off the dribble, attack a closeout
for sure,
and kind of create off that. And so that's kind of where I kind of made that connection. In addition to I don't know if he has the burst to just blow by dudes at the next level. I just don't think that's quite there. And that's kind of where I think you see him backing dudes down because get past them.
I agree with that 100%.
So it's that's kind of where I see it right now. But yeah, that's just kind of where I thought, again, I'm not saying he's Tyler Hero, but that's just kind of like where my brain went when I was watching him last.
So you're saying when I do my Cam Jones video, I need to put Tyler Hero somewhere in the background, like I did Luka Doncic.
No.
Oh man. But no, I get it. I agree with a lot of what you said there about Cam Jones. And speaking of speed, freaking fears for Oklahoma. Holy cow! You talk about speed. Now that kid can take people off the dribble. I'm an old man, and I fell asleep before the end of that game, so I got to go back and watch the end of that game.
Oh no!
But I did see most of it. I just didn't see the ending, and the ending's apparently terrific. So I got to watch the end of the Oklahoma game. But he's so quick, man. That dude is quick off the dribble. So that kid popped. I think I'm going to do a video on him next. But real quick for the channel, before we get off here, we are going to be on break. Let's take a look at the old trusty calendar here. Today is the 19th. So we'll be off on New Year's, Christmas Eve. So we'll be off. The day after Christmas, I don't have anything down, but are we coming back the day after Christmas?
I mean, we can.
Okay. So day after Christmas, we'll be back. And then New Year's Eve, we'll be off. Because I would imagine a young person as yourself has plans.
Yes.
Yes. So.
Well, don't the Heat also play on New Year's Eve?
Yes, but I'm not on post game. So.
Is Major on post game?
I don't know. I'd have to check the other calendar for that. This is my old man physical calendar.
I gotta go play some bets. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Hey,
but
man,
yeah,
he's been slaying the dragon lately. Major.
Lately.
Again, I always bring it to. Listen, sometimes bad teams just start hot in an NBA season.
There it is.
Just like, has anyone watched the Brooklyn Nets? They were supposed to be tanking.
That's right. They were supposed to be tanking.
They've won 10 games already.
Is Major the Brooklyn Nets?
I'm not saying he's the Brooklyn Nets, but I'm saying some bad teams just start hot.
No, I gotcha. Well, no worries. So just to recap for the just to recap for the audience, our schedule will be off on Christmas Eve. We'll be back the day after Christmas. So the 26th we'll be back. We'll be off on New Year's Eve, and then we'll be back the following Thursday. I'm going to put the scheduled streams up on YouTube. So all you have to do is look under upcoming streams to see when we go live. The podcasts themselves, if you happen to miss it, will be available the day after every time we record. So Tuesdays and Thursdays we record live. The podcasts go up Wednesdays and Fridays. Anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, any of those places, you can find the Hoops Profile Beyond the Backboard podcast. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for joining us. Matt, before we get out of here, tell people where they can follow you, find you, and get more of your work.
I just looked, and the Heat don't play on New Year's Eve. It was Nevada that plays on New Year's Eve. Again, my brain's all over the place. I just don't worry about it.
Now that makes a lot more sense. Nevada plays.
Yeah, Nevada plays on the Heat play the day after New Year's. But
day after
New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah, anyway. I'm on that post game show.
All right then. Yeah, you could find me at NPH_824_. That's where you can find me on Twitter to see my terrible tweets, great tweets. You know, depending on your perspective of things. I don't know how you think, nor do you know how I think, or whatever. You can find me at hothoops.com. You can find me at vendettasportsmedia.com, mountainwestconnection.com. You can also find me on watchplayback.tv/5RSN, where Adele and I will watch the Heat, cry about the Heat, laugh about the Heat, especially, Thomas Bryant stuff, even though he's no longer with the team anymore. I still watch that.
Hilarious, dude.
At least once a month, I watch those videos.
It was so funny, dude. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a basketball court. It was so funny. But with that, people, we're going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody's patience through our technical difficulties, especially my co-host, and we'll see you next time.